It was revealed by Chairman Grassley, who was given documents by the FBI that show that the special counsel, Jack Smith, was spying on U.S. senators. There were 8 U.S. senators and 1 U.S. congressman, all Republicans, no surprise there, by requesting over 2 years after the phone records, they call it toll data, which would be the locations, the durations of calls, and who the senator was calling from their cell phones to get information as a part of this Arctic frost investigation that Jack Smith was heading up as special counsel. I want to go right now to Chief Counsel Jay Sekulow. And just right off the bat, when this news came out yesterday, what was your first reaction when you heard what the special counsel was doing in targeting these U.S. senators?
Well, listen, I think this is, you talk about an outrage. I mean, I want everybody to put this into a context. Could you imagine if it was a different situation and it was the Department of Justice under President Trump spying on 6 Democratic senators? What the reaction would be? I mean, let's just think about that for a moment. Now take a step back. Why in the world did Jack Smith try to get the records, phone records, of a co-equal branch of government, 5 senators and a member of the House of Representatives? For what purpose? Now, he targets this around the January 6th time because he was concerned that maybe these senators were ones that were going to vote not to certify. Let's assume that was true, just for the sake of argument. You know what the answer to that is? So what? You're the special counsel. You're not the governor of the elections. And a sitting U.S. senator can vote any way they want. They're elected, and if you don't like the way they vote, you vote for somebody else. But this action by Jack Smith, I think, just typifies what was going on with the weaponization of the Department of Justice. And I'll tell you who needs to be held accountable here: Jack Smith. And I asked our team yesterday to start a process of, we'll start with a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, to find out exactly whose idea Arctic frost was and what they were up to. But this should be sending shockwaves to members of Congress, Republican and Democrats, that a special counsel was going after them.
Yeah, well, Dad, what's also, not shocking about this, but illuminating is that what's redacted from the memo that was given to Chairman Grassley, of course, was the special agents at the FBI who signed off on this program, who signed off on this investigation, and to Jack Smith's team. But I want you to walk through this. This means that the Jack Smith's team went to a court to get a warrant so they could obtain this data from phone companies. And then you look at constitutional protections that we all have, including U.S. senators, like the Fourth Amendment. I mean, what? That there were probable cause that they were engaged in a crime?
Look, I mean, it's not just the Fourth Amendment. I mean, the Fourth Amendment certainly is one of them. But, the speech and debate clause of the Constitution protects members in their official acts, even if you disagree with their vote. But, yeah, I mean, Jordan, you bring up a great point. This idea that you have a situation where, just think about this more, the Department of Justice lawyers go into a judge and say, we need these records. Now, was it a FISA judge? Was it a district court judge? Don't know the details of that yet. But the point of the matter is, why are we shocked? This is the same Department of Justice at the time that went into the FISA court and falsified emails to get a warrant, signed off on, by the way, agreed to by James Comey and Andrew McCabe and others. So this is just part and parcel of a much, much deeper problem.
Well, and when you also look at the timeline of how this investigation even unfolded, where, the Department of Justice under Joe Biden didn't do anything for the first almost year and a half until they launched this Arctic frost, but only April of 2022. And then they didn't appoint Jack Smith until November of 2022, right before the election season started to really get underway, as you start to look at primaries and things of that nature. And then President Trump was indicted June 8th of 2023, right ahead of the election. These records weren't requested by Jack Smith and his team until September 27th of 2023, just under a year from an election. And you start to wonder, when it's only Republican senators being targeted. Obviously, with the nature of that you would expect that is what would happen because it was a politically motivated investigation. But you start to really question even more election interference when not only are you going after the person running for president, but also members of Congress that are against the party that was in power at the time. It raises a lot of questions about what the political motivations were.
Well, I mean, we know what the political motivations were. I mean, let's be realistic. This whole scam was put on the American people. We paid for this. Our taxpayer dollars paid for all this. And what was the end result? The end result appears to be 6 senators had their phone records subpoenaed by a special counsel to find out who they were talking to. I mean, who they were talking to. I mean, think about this for a moment. These are the people you elected, and that you've got now a Department of Justice that had a special counsel's office set up. By the way, Jack Smith could have said, we're not going to use that information. We're not going to continue this. We're not going to look at this. But that's not the point. The point is they did. And the point is they did this. I mean, the thing that has to be underscored here, this wasn't some thought maybe we should do this. They actually did this. But it's no different. I go back to the IRS Tea Party scandal. Remember that one we litigated for several years, had a great victory in? Look at the targeting there. Remember those emails between Lois Lerner and some of the others where they said things like, hey, if we can bring one criminal case, we can shut all this down. Maybe we can get DOJ to chill this down. I mean, this was the way in which they were operating. And I think, look, what's happening now is it's coming to light because there's new leadership in the Department of Justice, great leadership under Pam Bondi, and we're going to find out that, unfortunately, there's going to be more of this. That's the thing I really hate. There's going to be more of this.
Yeah, I mean, what's also interesting here is not only did we kind of already expect this kind of behavior out of the FBI during this time period, but the judges, federal judges who are an independent branch of government, Dad, were rubber stamping this for them. Rubber stamping, tracking data, who senators are talking to, where they're located. Just give us names, and we'll give you the warrant to get the information.
Well, I mean, I want to, I'd like to know what in the world these judges were thinking. Like you said, that they would think it was appropriate to get phone records and information from phone companies on members of the United States Senate, some of which who serve on very significant committees. And then the judges thought that was okay too. But look, if you look at I'll never forget this. The lawyer that mishandled and then changed an email and filed a false document with the court, the FISA court, ends up getting suspended from the practice of law for 6 months, and he's back to practicing law now. This is outrageous. And it's just, we're now going to get to this. We said you got to have patience, and we've instructed our team to start the work to get to the bottom. We're going to get to the bottom of Operation Arctic Frost. We're going to thaw it out.
Because, Dad, I mean, I did it on this. I mean, listen, if this can happen to a U.S. senator and a federal judge will rubber stamp this, you, me, anybody listening or watching this show and podcast, however they're getting this information from us today, then they wouldn't even pause to give a warrant to the FBI for their information, for ours.
100%. That's a chilling effect of all of this. And that's why I think what we need to do now that it's been uncovered is now we go to work. That's why the support that our members and our ACLJ champions give the ACLJ is so significant. We need to encourage to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, we encourage you to do that today at aclj.org. If you're not already a monthly supporter of the ACLJ, join the fight and become an ACLJ champion at aclj.org/champions. It is a great day. As you said, I was already talking about this with my dad last night about how ACLJ can get involved and the multiple ways we can get involved to uncover this, because usually when you get this information, it's just the beginning. And this is yet another investigation that we need to peel back the layers of the onion on. Go to aclj.org, support our work financially. This isn't easy work. It isn't one person who can do this. It requires teams of experts, both attorneys and government affairs, to put this together, to work with those senators, to work with, to make sure we're filing the right documents, to get the correct information as quickly as possible.